freezing my ass off. But it's going to be awesome.
It's going to be.
So
it's going to be wet again this year.
Pardon me?
It's supposed to be wet again this year.
No, it's not. No.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
It's all cleared away, which thank God it's going to make for an awesome day. Mac My Cheese Fest, Harvest Noir, and then we're going to play nice little ballads from the Orienteers, and we'll be right back with Ian. We'll talk some politics. All right.
Hey guys, it's been rather chilly the past few days, so let's warm up to some great beer and mac and cheese. Here are my top picks. Well, with the first weekend of October here, you know what that means. It's time to celebrate Oktoberfest. Beau's Oktoberfest, which has been recognized by Canadian Geographic as the best Oktoberfest in Canada, it's all happening this Friday and Saturday in Van Lake Hill. This outdoor event promises to be loads of fun. You'll find a sausage eating contest, a keg toss, there's a malt sack race, team challenges, and a partner carrying race, along with live musical performances, Bavarian-inspired foods from over a dozen local restaurants, and of course, the beer. There will be 14 different beers, including 5 brand new ones for you to try, along with the Oktoberfest Mix Pack, which is already available for purchase at the LCBO. Now, general admission tickets for Saturday and for both days have already been sold out, but you can still buy tickets for just Friday. Tickets are from $27 and more if you want to purchase beer tokens ahead of time. There are no more tickets for the bus, and registration to camp overnight is also closed. So you will need to find your own way there and back. If you have children, please make sure that they are accompanied by an adult. Grounds open on Friday at 4 p.m. and closes at 11 p.m. And on Saturday, it will reopen at 11 a.m. and finish at 9 p.m. For more information and to purchase your tickets, go to beausoktoberfest.ca. Now, if you're looking for something a little closer to home, then be sure to check out Oktoberfest Ottawa, which is also happening from the 1st to the 3rd. It is home to the biggest Bavarian beer hall in Ontario. You can find it at Clark Fields Park in Barrhaven. Canadian country duo High Valley will be performing live Thursday night, and on Friday you can take part in setting a Guinness World Record for the largest beer tasting in the world. There's lots of beers to try, of course, foods to eat, and more performances to catch over the 3 days. Tickets are still available, although the Platinum VIP passes are sold out. So to purchase your tickets and for schedule and event details, go to oktoberfestottawa.com. Now, if all this talk of Oktoberfest is beginning to tire you out, don't worry, you've got other options. How about the St. Albert Mac My Cheese Fest, which is happening from the 2nd to the 4th at the Festival Plaza at City Hall. It's going to be a gooey and delicious time, and I'm sure it's going to warm you right up. Admission is free, and the event is definitely family-friendly, even though there is a beer garden. Be sure to bring cash with you, though, to make your food purchases. It ranges from about $6 to $15. There's going to be at least 16 vendors on hand to serve also dessert and drinks, along with the mac and cheese, of course. The event starts at 11 a.m. on each day and finishes at 9 p.m. on Friday and Saturday, and finishes at 6 o'clock on Sunday. Now, on Friday, there will be a mac and cheese eating contest between the Carleton Ravens and Ottawa GGs, so that should be fun. But Saturday has 2 very exciting events. There is a best mac and cheese competition with judging and public voting, and a mac and cheese diving contest. I'm almost afraid to know what that means, since I've been told that snorkel is optional. You can also fill out a ballot online to win a 1-month free supply of St. Albert cheese, valued up to $2,000. So to fill out that ballot and for more event info, go to macmycheesefest.ca. And it looks like I have just enough time for one more pick, so I'll make this quick. Harvest Noir is happening Saturday night. It is a pop-up picnic and a farmer's market fun fair and a big band and DJ dance after party to finish the night. This is a chic, dress your best in black picnic feast, so be sure you dress carefully because that dress code will be enforced. There are lots of rules regarding this event, so be sure to read through it all very carefully at harvestnoir.com. You can also purchase your tickets for there. And that's it for me today. Until next time, have a great weekend.
Jen from Foodie Prince. Of course, Don, it's your birthday today. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Don.
Eat some good food. I know you're probably at Supply and Demand. You were at least there last night. All right. So we're going to do a little election talk. Andrew and I represent the people that, sometimes get discredited with all the negative ads and all that. I'm a Bernie Sanders guy with the 0 negative ads. That's my favorite thing in the world. So, and then did you go to Kevin Page's talk last night for the new book?
No, but I've read the book, so it's a good book.
So you read it? Is it a good one?
Good book.
He was a great guest on our show. And he said that why are Canadians not worried about accountability? And I totally agree. Why is this not more of an issue popping up?
So, I think that the problem is that right now in Canada we have a political orthodoxy that is very strong. So the partisans who are here in Ottawa and make up the people who support the politicians that you all know and love, or detest and loathe, depending on who they are very orthodox in their approach to politics, in the sense that any straying outside of the acceptable partisan norms becomes a media story, becomes an issue. Members of Parliament who don't regularly vote with their party, or even who step out of line even just once or twice, get the title Maverick Member of Parliament or Rogue MP. And that's not entirely fair when we take a look at the way that the system was actually built. If we take a look at the Westminster tradition, the one that is so prevalent across the Commonwealth, countries that are really similar to ours, there are other countries in which this sort of partisanship, this overarching anger, quite frankly, that sometimes bubbles up from those people who take their partisan colors maybe a bit too seriously, doesn't need to be as strong. So when we take a look at the United Kingdom, for instance, and the Labour Party is a really good example. They've just elected Jeremy Corbyn, who's from the far, far left of that particular party. Yeah, he's a Bernie Sanders-esque character. You're exactly right. But the far, far left of that party, whereas only just, of course, a couple of prime ministers ago for the United Kingdom, they had Tony Blair, who came from, one would argue, the far right of that party. All of those folks don't get along all the time, but there's much more of a tolerance for dissent within their own political party. So because we have this limited tolerance for dissent and this overarching, abiding love of political orthodoxy, frankly, we're turning off a lot of Canadians. So to answer that question, that's why they don't care about accountability, because at the end of the day, they don't believe politicians to be accountable in the first place. So therefore, how can you hold them to a standard you don't believe that they hold? And that's unfortunate, and it's really disappointing, and it's for a guy like me who's worked in politics for so long, it's really sad. Because I look at a whole bunch of people like my former bosses, Sheila Copps or Jack Layton, and I see people who were, maybe tagged if you were being less than charitable as career politicians, but what an honorable career they had, right? I mean, you take a look at both of those individuals and the contribution that they've been able to make to Canadian society and to the world, and you kind of have to ask yourself, how is that not an honorable career? And those individuals and those candidates and those people who put themselves forward during this, incredibly democratic time of an election, probably deserve a lot more consideration and respect and breathing room than, quite frankly, the 2015 election has let them have. Anybody who's had anything that is remotely or mildly controversial has basically been kicked out of this particular race. So you have to wonder how long that lasts.
Have a number of them. Are there any that you can speak of that have been kind of maverick and saying some good things and that might be able to get elected that we can get excited about?
No, I mean, no, yeah.
No, really, no.
No, I mean, go ahead. I mean, if you see the House of Commons, no, I mean, they
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there are a couple of people. I mean, I should be clear. There's folks like a conservative, Brett Rathgaber, for instance, who stepped away from the Conservative Party saying it doesn't represent my conservative values. You see a guy like Michael Chong who stepped away from his cabinet position and, over the fact that Mr. Harper didn't consult him on the Quebec as a nation motion in front of the House of Commons. Mr. Chong's running again. He's put forward reform bills. So yeah, I'm joking when I say there are none of these people. A lot of them are conservatives, and I think that that's really important. We've obviously always had these maverick voices or these outside of the system voices that have attempted to influence the way the House of Commons has been operating. But as far as I can tell, they're all tilting at windmills. We've got, several of them, not dissimilar to Michael Chong, on these sort of, Don Quixote style quests that are never going to be accomplished without fundamental change within our political system that comes in the form of proportional representation. Mm-hmm. Not every vote in our country counts, and Canadians know that. Yeah. If you're in Prince Edward Island, your vote counts a heck of a lot more than if you happen to be in Epizzi-Témiscamingue, and that's not fair, and that doesn't make sense for anybody. So instead, what needs to happen in this next particular parliament is that any configuration that doesn't look like a conservative majority government needs to come up with a way that our voting system is fixed, and that we can reinstill some form of trust that when you go to the ballot box and you choose the candidate that you think is going to best represent you, your views, and your riding, may actually even have a shot at getting elected into the House of Commons. And right now, if you vote Green in Ottawa, that's not going to happen. We got to face it. It's just not going to happen. But I want that to happen. I want you to be able to vote Green in Ottawa for you to be able to see a representative or maybe 10 representatives, depending on your proportion of the national vote.
And isn't that going to be tested in Ontario going forward? Is that kind of the...
So what's happening in Ontario is a little bit different. Is the municipal governments in Ontario have been given the ability to choose something called ranked balloting.
Exactly.
So ranked balloting is a little bit different than proportional representation in the sense that proportional representation would assign the seats after the election to proportionally to the appropriate amount of percentage as you got in the election. Whereas a ranked ballot asks you to do something a little bit different, which is literally rank them 1 through 5. For instance, if you had 5 city councillors running, so that if your first choice wasn't selected, that your second vote choice would be counted until one of those candidates got 50% or more of the vote. So in other words, there's a little bit more tactics and strategy at play there. But what it does do, both of these systems, whether it's proportional representation or something called single transferable vote, which is another format, or ranked balloting, still another third kind of option, what all of these systems do is inherently force the political parties to be a little bit nicer to each other out there on the hustings. So you could imagine that if you're also vying for second place votes, not just the be-all and end-all first place vote, you may not be so orthodox, to go back to that idea of political orthodoxy, as you were before. You might be more willing to say up on the dais, but during a debate, maybe that candidate actually has a good idea that if we worked together in government, we could work on. 100%. Right now, it's a winner-takes-all scenario, and let's face it, that works really well in sports. Yeah. Politics isn't sports. As often as we want to use those metaphors, it's not sports, and winner can't take all, because that's not how we govern, even in the current system. Because as far as I can tell, the best, most awesome parts of Canadian history that have given us the things that we love the most about being Canadian came out of minority parliaments where we were forced to cooperate. Yeah. Healthcare, unemployment insurance, even the weekend. I mean, even the legislative weekend came out of the labor movement, and then through early coalitions, way back in the day when they were done a little bit differently. So I think people need to be looking to October 20th as a really hopeful time, because what may end up happening, if the polls hold the way they are today, we may be looking at one of the parliaments that has been forced to cooperate the most. Yeah. And that'll be really interesting to see what the weeks after this particular election looks like.
So right now it's looking around 30% each or something. That's what these polls say.
It's looking like a three-way. It's looking like a three-way tie. So right now what we're looking at is 2 major subjects, which is voter efficiency, which is can you get your votes to the polls, and how does that happen? Do you have a record of being able to do it? It's one thing for somebody to tell you they're going to vote for you, but do they actually show up and do it? So that's voter efficiency.
And they can track that. If you say you're going to vote for the Liberals can go and check it.
Correct. Yeah, it's a so it's called the scrutineering process. So
very interesting. I saw that for the first
exactly.
time.
Each political party has